Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Keepers League 3.27. In this episode, I'm going to be comparing physical zombies versus chaos zombies, so physical damage versus chaos damage, and I'd like to start off with this. This is my video from 3.25 where I did Delve 4200. It's really deep in the Delve, and so it's already been proven that the physical is really strong, but now I'm doing chaos, and people have been wondering, why am I doing chaos now if I already proved physical to be so strong? Why not just do physical again? What's wrong with physical? So I'm just switching up doing chaos, and now I want to make a video going over the benefits of fizz, downsides, benefits of chaos, downsides, and then comparing them and giving you my overall. So yeah, just if you didn't already know, I did this in 3.25, the last season I played, and so physical is strong. One of the nicest things is that you get to ignore the chaos resistance on the monsters, so if there's high chaos res enemies, like Simulacrum, you could just ignore it by doing physical instead. Also, we have a minion offense mastery. This one, minion hits have a 50% chance to ignore the enemy physical damage reduction. So even if they had high physical damage reduction, high armor, you could just also ignore that if you get lucky. It's half the time you just ignore it. We can also run Pride, making nearby enemies take at least 20% more physical damage, raising up to 40% as they stay in the aura for 4 seconds. And it's an aura, so you could scale it with aura effect and get it to do tons. There's also this Spectre. If you didn't know, they added corpses for Spectres, and you could spawn these or summon them off of the corpse, and then you have this, and this one comes with an aura, so you can actually get Pride for free from a Spectre. Well, it's not free because you have to buy the Spectre, but yeah, free aura reservation. And then it doesn't get affected by like your aura effect or the reduced aura effect or anything, and it's just all on the actual minion instead of on you. And then so you could do that. I did it, I believe, when I did the 4200 delve. And then you can also run Maim. Maim can make the enemies take up to 10% increased physical damage. You can also run Demon Harpy for the Demon Elite Screech on a 9-second cooldown with a 4-second duration, which stacks up to 20 to make the enemy take increased physical damage. You can also run Awaken Brutality to get 10%, well, for obviously the 44 more physical damage and no elemental or chaos, but also 10% chance to crush the enemies for 4 seconds on hit. And so the crush is you are crushed, lowering physical damage reduction by 15%, minus 15% additional physical damage reduction. So tons of ways to scale the enemy taking more fizz or not having physical damage reduction, ignoring it basically, trying to do basically true damage, if you know what that is. There's also, so you have your animate guardian, and now physical scaled with the explode chest or the one-handed synthesis weapons because it's physical and won't synergize as well with, there's a new Cane of Coolmac with chaos explosions, and so you're not scaling chaos, you're scaling physical in this, so it's better that the in synthesis implicit explode is physical. You could convert this to chaos, but I'm saying like when you're a physical, you'd probably want physical. And same thing with the chest. Enemies you kill have a 35% chance to explode. This is the elevated explode Crusader chestplate, dealing a 10th of their max life as physical. So again, physical. You could convert it to chaos, but we're talking about the physical one. And then you can also get, oh, and then I was showing Cane of Coolmac is a 47% chance to explode, dealing a quarter of their max life as chaos. So you're not going to be scaling the chaos and the physical, which then you're not reducing the chaos risk. Then this won't really work very well. And this is new this season, so we're kind of building around this. We're doing chaos, and yeah, not as great in the physical one. So that's one reason to do chaos. Really great reason, by the way. You could get this curse on hit on the glove of the Gravebind of the Animate Guardian for vulnerability on hit. Vulnerability making the enemy take 30% increased physical damage. This is level 21 vuln, so I don't think it's this high. And then it technically also causes attack hits against cursed enemies have a chance to inflict bleeding. You won't do the bleeding or the increased physical damage in your chaos build. But for a physical, you can do vulnerability, unless the enemy is obviously hexproof or less effective curse or whatever. Then you also have the helmet, Elder Helmet. can get nearby enemies. This is an elevated Elder mod. Nearby enemies take 12% increased physical damage. So tons of ways to scale physical. What's the biggest physical downside? Like, because you could do tons damage, you scale it up, you have all this, like, ignoring the enemy physical damage reduction, you're doing true damage, you got free auras, all this stuff, right? Reflect. Monsters reflect 100% of physical damage. What? Rip. And then, like, let's say you try to reduce the reflect, and then you have increased damage taken on your minion, and then it ends up taking more than... You can't mitigate it, potentially. Your minions might just kill themselves on reflect, even when you try to build reduce reflect. Yeah, fun. You might have to have a chest plate mod of an influence mod just to reduce it by 100%, and then maybe that doesn't even work either. And then you also have your damage mitigated by armor and physical damage reduction when the mastery doesn't work. If your 50% chance doesn't proc and you don't delete all of the enemy physical damage reduction or armor, then you will be doing reduced damage because of the armor or physical damage reduction on the monster. And then, so I showed a 5,000 armor chest. It's like a brass dome. It's a it's a rare chest, dude. That's crazy, right? Okay. And then I showed this. 60% monster physical damage reduction as a mod. 42 chaos res. 60 physical damage reduction, but then you could ignore this, like deleting 15 just from the crush. 50% chance to just ignore it completely. You had... Is that it? Yeah. Okay. And so you could see that the chaos res was lower. And then the monster might even have less chaos res to start than the amount of armor or physical damage reduction it has default base. It depends, because I think the armor scales with the level as well. And then the other thing is this mastery, yeah, it's only a 50% chance. So what if in the extreme case where you get extremely unlucky, like block, and you just never ignore it? Then the monster could be pretty tanky. You also don't have the 90% increased chaos damage. Well, it's chaos damage, but yeah, this kit with Wither, you could stack Wither debuffs, and then they make the enemy take 6% increased chaos damage, and it stacks up to 15 times, so 90% increased chaos damage taken. You can't do this for the physical. It's only for chaos, so you're missing that. Now I'll get into chaos, and I'll compare them after. So my chaos, I'm already at 1242 delve. We're doing really well. Great progress. It's still doing quite amazing damage, especially with the KNF Coolmac explosions. I showed you this, this staff with the, is this one? With the 47% chance, and then a quarter of the HP as chaos instead of a 10th. So this is a lot more damage, 2.5 times the damage with a higher explode chance. So with just the staff, you have more than 2 of the synthesis weapons. This is only 30, and that's in the weapon. So it's a lot more. And then I showed on mine, I have over 47 because I scaled it with a tempering orb. So it's an amazing explosion weapon, and then, yeah, you can't do that really in the physical one. So the other benefit is you get to ignore physical damage reduction, like the map mod. Where did it? And you just deal with the monster chaos res instead. And then generally chaos res is lower than the elemental and the physical. As you can see, 66 monster LE and 60 physical, but only 42 chaos. And even the starting resistances of monsters it's usually like, let's say 40 LE and then 25 chaos on bosses. So it just starts lower. And then our ascendancy, we have unnatural strength. So the minions have unholy might. Unholy might, one sec, I had opened the game because I was going to show something about it, close it. Okay, Unholy Might grants 100% of physical damage converted to chaos damage and a 25% chance to apply Wither on hit. So this whole thing of stacking the Wither, yeah, 90% increased damage taken, chaos damage taken from the Ascendancy while also converting it all to chaos. And so that's just in our Ascendancy in the Necromancer with Witch. It's really sick. You can't run Pride, so you have extra reservation because you have one less aura, or a Spectre slot saved from the Perfect Blood Demon because you were potentially running an extra Spectre for Pride. Well, you can't do this in the Chaos version, so you just have an extra Spectre or an extra aura, or both. And then you can also run Withering Touch, so you get the extra 25% chance to inflict Wither on hit, like the Ascendancy, and the Wither lasts 2 seconds. And then you also get the 30% of physical damage as extra Chaos, so it's a good damage support as well as stacking up the Withered. And then you can still also scale it with generic scalers like Frenzy charges from the Carnage Chieftains, my monkeys. You get the 12% more damage from the Frenzy charges, 4% per, and the extra like 15% attack speed total or something. 4% attack speed? I don't know. It's one of the two. And then there's also Aspect of the Spider I started running this season because I was doing the Blight Ravage to slow down the enemies, but it also makes the enemy take 5% increased damage taken, and it can stack up to 4 times. So with the extra reservation, I ran Aspect of the Spider, and then this is 20% increased damage taken if you stack it up. And I think it puts 1 web every second or something, but also hinders the enemy's move speed by 30%. It's sick. I really like this, and it's not an aura, so it doesn't get reduced by aura effect, like on the maps. Then, as a Chaos build, you can run Awaken Void Manip, similar to Awaken Brutality, but instead of Awaken Brutality where it had the Crush, reducing or deleting 15% additional physical damage reduction, this one has +1 to level of supported Chaos skill gems. That's where it's like weird, because this doesn't work. Your zombie is not a Chaos, so he doesn't get the +1, but you could still run this for the 39 more Chaos damage and the extra 10% increased Chaos damage, and you're not doing Elemental, so it's fine. This is a possibility. And then I showed the Cane of Coolamak, so Chaos damage, and then the 47 Giga Explosion, plus a bunch of other mods like double damage and increased Chaos damage, which might be the local mod, but if it works, it's sick. And then we also have... And oh, this is where we're scaling Chaos with the Withered. We're also now scaling with this. So you can get a Curse on Hit Glove for Despair on the Gravebind for your Animate Guardian, if the enemy's not hexproof or less effective curse, obviously. But then a level 21 Despair is -30 Chaos res. So you can actually delete the Chaos res, which then helps the explosions from the Cane of Coolamak and your damage in general. And then we also have the helmet, a Hunter helmet, elevated, can get nearby enemies have -12 Chaos res for the Animate Guardian. And then you can run all those reflect maps with absolutely no issues, where the physical couldn't. Where was it? There, yeah, big reflect. You just ignore them completely, and you get to run reflect, and you don't have to worry about the map mod, and you don't have to worry about reducing the reflect. It's actually really, really amazing to be able to run more map mods and not have to reroll your maps, and even just be able to run more of the maps without having to worry. Lazy gaming. Feels good, dude. Don't even have to read. Here's another benefit. It's different than physical, because we already did the physical to 4200 delve. Well, why not do something else, you know? To try the, especially how the Chaos is built into the Ascendancy. Well, what if you don't need physical and you could actually do it better with Chaos, especially with the new Cane of Coolamak explosions? True. Then you don't need this. To get Chaos conversion before on a minion, from physical, you had to get a 4 white Triad Grip, which is like a Giga Corrupted Glove to get 4 white sockets. I think you can do this without the corrupting with like Harvest, but then it's more expensive. So yeah, 25% of Fizz converted to Chaos per white socket, 4 white sockets, 100% conversion, and there's no Wither. So you would just be losing the Wither on hit chance. And the Wither stacking is 90% increased Chaos damage taken, so I'm pretty sure that's good. And then, yeah, being able to save a glove slot, so you get to have a glove with Suppress Implicit from the Eater of Worlds, 10% Suppress, plus the extra 14 Suppress you can roll, plus minion damage, plus extra res, plus extra life, you know, you name it, so many things. Lots of and this. Think about it. This is just the ascendancy point, and it's missing the wither. Okay. Now a downside. Ready? Chaos res. High chaos res. Simulacrum. I showed you how a map could have more. I have too many tabs. More physical damage reduction and more LE res than the chaos res, but in Simulacrum it's different. So I have to show this. You can get a mod, it's random each wave. This is Uber Simu. Can get 41 to 60 monster chaos resistance. So I believe this is like the last 5 waves, the hardest waves where you get the bosses, could get the highest amount of chaos res. So let's say 60% chaos res. Okay. And then you're wondering how much physical. I believe, god damn it, I had it written and then I guess I recopied over it. It's fine though. 40% monster physical damage reduction. So yeah, they just have more chaos res than physical damage reduction in a Simulacrum, and so it's not the best thing to do, but I haven't been doing Simulacrum at all this season. I didn't want to, I didn't care. I did Simulacrum in PoE 2 for way too many hours, and then I didn't feel like doing it this time. I wanted to do other stuff, and so I haven't, and I don't have this downside, basically. There's technically less scalers because you won't have Pride or ignoring the physical damage reduction minion mastery, but then you have Withered and other stuff, and you're dealing with chaos resistance instead of physical damage reduction, so it could be sick. And then, like I said, not having to worry about Reflect is sick. And then we got this. So this is the Arch Nemesis modifier, chaos and wither resistant of Exile. Oh no. No, the naming. 60 chaos res. 60! Bro, is this Simulacrum? Yep. 80% reduced wither duration on self, so if it's 2 seconds normally, then it's 0.4 seconds. Are you gonna stack your 15 in 0.4 seconds? I don't know, man. That's pretty tough, right? So that's why this one lives longer than everything else. It's pretty ridiculous. What a crazy mod. And then did I have it here? Yeah. Adaptive resistance grants plus number % resistance and plus number % max resistance, matching the highest damage type taken from a hit. And it includes chaos, not physical. This one doesn't give me as much trouble as the chaos and wither resistant. I barely noticed this one, but sometimes you get a chaos and wither resistant with adaptive resistance, and now it's giga chaos res. Kind of way too much, but yep, it's a thing. And then it's really when the monsters stack up and are like doing all the auras and stuff that they get out of control, not just these mods on their own, so it's fine. And then yeah, it's not physical, so if you like physical, this is a downside. Because it's chaos. If you don't want chaos and you wanted physical, well, why are you doing chaos? That's a downside, right? Awakened Void Manip, I already mentioned it, but I wrote it in the downsides. It's that it is +1 chaos and doesn't work on the zombie. So you benefit from the crush on the Awakened Brutality, but you don't benefit from this on Awakened Void Manip. So I don't even run this in my zombie link. And then the way to fully delete chaos resistance, like how we're doing it with the physical, but it's only 50% of the time. You could have it all the time, just making the enemy have none. Nearby enemies, chaos resistance is 0. Original Sin, just a measly 665 divine orbs. Yeah, just the small price of a Mirror of Calandra. And the radius, it's more, and the radius of an Original Sin is really short. It's like 3 meters. The edge of your screen is like 6 or more, and sometimes stuff even happens off screen, so 3 is really short. It's basically melee, and and you have to give up a ring, and you have to be in range, so it's like a pretty big downside. But you could do this if you did want to do Simulacrum with chaos, and like didn't want to worry about the chaos res, but then it isn't great because it's not even the whole area, and you're getting spawns all over the place, not just on top of you in a 3-meter radius. So, but you can do this. It's technically a thing. It's technically an option. Now, the final part. So I gave you all of the benefits of the physical and the chaos, and I'll tell you my thoughts. So currently, we already showed the 4200 delve physical. You could do it. It's already done. All the stuff you could go check the build. It's already all up. So it's actually more beneficial to switch it up and do chaos instead, so that you have more options. And then when I'm doing the delve with the chaos, we'll be able to compare it, and then like fully, like more directly. And this new Cane of Coolmac chaos explosion of 25% of the mob health and being chaos damage, and 47%. I think I have 48% with, like I say, I increased the chance of the explode with a tempering orb from Heist, but like increased chaos mod or whatever. And then so it's actually a better explosion and more damage, and it is really satisfying in the delve already at 1242. So I think this has been like the shining star of this for now. It's been really fun, and so I haven't been doing simulacrum, so I haven't really been feeling the downsides except for that one arch nemesis mod of the chaos and wither resistant. But even with that, it's still feeling really good. So I kind of just want to keep feeling it out, play it out, and see how it goes, and even just scale the build further, because my build's not as juiced as my physical one was, because I had like the perfect Ami with the +4 500 life. It was like Holmes Heart plus endurance charges. And then I think in the end, I ended up putting the monkeys back in the build, and we're demon harpies, and we actually run the pride ourselves, and we didn't run the perfect blood demon. So a bunch of the things I gave as like benefits, I ended up not even doing after, and I like reverted back to a pretty basic version of the physical. But yeah, it was pretty strong. And then I need to obviously get the chaos down to that depth and see how it feels comparatively, because I started to lack damage on the physical, even with all that ignoring physical damage reduction. It was just raw damage, and so maybe this one can actually pump more raw damage from the chaos explosions with the higher explode chance and higher explode damage than the physical, and that alone might carry it. While also having similar damage, and the wither stacking to increase the chaos damage is really sick. And so, and I like not having to worry about reflect. When you run blight and you could just run reflect, you run more map mods, you could just run your map and keep reflect. It allows you to run more of your maps. You could just elk and go and not worry about it. I could pretty much run every single mod, obviously, but cannot regen, is just annoying, because I do like to regen every build. For the longest time I've had regen, and I don't like to just rely on leech, because when there's no enemies we can't leech, and I like regen. I like to AFK sometimes, and there's certain like dots and whatnot that you could just slowly lose HP, and it's not very relaxing. And yeah. So, and then you could still run Original Sin if you wanted to delete Chaos Res to 0 also. But like I said, the range is pretty short. And then, yeah, so I am going to keep staying on the Chaos, but people wanted to know how what I thought about physical versus Chaos. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you've ever done physical or Chaos damage, like the video. And if you like the video and you're new to the channel and you made it to this far in a comparison of physical versus chaos, like the video. And if you guys like the video and you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye. Look forward to some more chaos.